So it's been another month, so now it's time to do another poster roundup. All the posters I'm going to show you have either been posted during this month or were supposed to be posted during this month. I have a backlog of posters, so anytime that I end up getting to posting the ones that come next chronologically, sometimes it's been a few weeks, and now that I'm looking at it, I'm just not happy with where it's at, so I just don't post it anywhere. But sometimes the lessons that I've learned from those posters could be useful to you guys, so I'm still going to include them here. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first poster that I posted this month was one that I actually really liked and I still really like today. I actually had somebody message me on Instagram wanting me to talk a little bit more about this one specifically. But really it all started with the kind of abstract pattern in the background with the stripes kind of being folded and bent in different ways. I found the picture and I just thought it was really cool, and I just knew that I could use it in a certain way. So I just kind of brought it in, and then I started kind of playing around with some things. And then I just added the sky background later, but I really liked how the statue was looking up and it kind of matched some of the angles of the abstract background. So it kind of worked really well together in that aspect. And once I had it all put together, I was looking at the background and it felt a little bit too untouched, kind of just how it was originally. So what I ended up doing was actually going back over it and selecting different parts of it and adding a checkerboard pattern just to kind of change it up a little bit and make it a little bit more of my own rather than just grabbing it from the internet and then just plopping it onto the canvas. I also wanted to experiment a little bit with type, so I added that in. Honestly, that's probably my least favorite thing about this image. I feel like it doesn't really need it, but at the time I just kind of wanted to play around with some type, so that's how it ended up. Now this one is probably my favorite from this month. I just really liked the composition of it. I got to kind of distort the text a little bit. I got to play around with the color gradient that I really like, and everything that I like just kind of came together in this poster. One of the cool things that I've seen a lot of other people do is they'll move type off one side of the paper and then they'll bring it back on the other side. So it's kind of like a loop where one end of the paper connects to the other side of the paper, so it just continually kind of keeps moving back and forth. And I think that has a really cool motion to it. This is also the first time that I use this kind of halftone texture on a picture. I don't even know how I came up with it, but I was just kind of experimenting with some different things, and I ended up with this really cool effect where it seems like the orange is actually brighter in the darker parts of the image, so it feels like it's glowing rather than just one straight color map. It's really subtle, but I think it really adds a lot to the picture. Now, I really don't have too much to say about this one. I actually did a tutorial on how you can get this exact effect if you want to check that out, but really it just had been a while since I kind of tried that effect, so I just kind of wanted to do it again and see if I can get some different results. So I wouldn't say this is my best work, but it still came out cool. I still like it. Now, this is the first poster of the month that I didn't post. And while I don't think it's bad by any means, I just didn't think it was that strong, and so I just didn't really want to post it. At the time that I made this, I just couldn't really find images that I felt really inspired by or any inspiration given to me. And so I was just kind of left on this like blank slate of like trying to make something, trying to make sure that I hit my deadlines like I'm supposed to. And I just was having trouble, and so I ended up coming up with this. I definitely think there's cool aspects of this, like how the flower is kind of coming into the photograph, so it's not bordered in. I also like how it blends in with the type, so it feels like the type is actually in a 3D space. But overall, I just didn't really feel like it was that strong, so I didn't post it. Now, this poster actually did a video showcasing exactly how I made it, the entire process. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do with this poster, but once I did, it all came together pretty quickly, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I don't think it's exactly how my style typically is, but I do think it's cool, and I do think I got to try out some different things that I might normally not. And so the composition for this is a little bit different from what you might normally see from me, but I think that's cool. Now, this poster was also a lot of fun to make. I saw this image of a car and I just knew that I could do something with it, just not sure what. I actually played around a lot with the composition of it. It was kind of tough to work with, honestly. But what really got me started was putting in the type, extending it, and then putting it below the car. Once I kind of had that laid out, everything started coming together. It was a lot of fun to kind of play around with the text box shape, so it's a little bit more organic. And then to top it off, I just wanted to add kind of like a grungy photo in the top right just to kind of balance everything out. I do really like how it turned out, and it's a little bit different from what I normally would do. Now, I really liked how this one turned out. I guess it's a little bit different from what I'd been doing since it's not really a collage, but I just really liked the composition of it. I really liked working on it, and really just looking at the image just kind of makes me feel something. It also allowed me to do something that I haven't really done in a while, which is do a little bit more of that kind of photorealism. It's something that I used to do a lot years ago, but I haven't really done recently. So it was kind of fun to kind of get back into that mindset and kind of dabble in it again. But honestly, I think this is a really strong image. I really like the contrast between the colors and the imagery, and just all just kind of works together really well. Now this poster was a fun experiment that I did. I saw somebody else make a poster where they had taken this photo and then they had taken different sections and kind of turned them around, kind of like how you see here. And I did that, but it just kind of felt like I was copying them and it wasn't really my own thing, and I just really wasn't excited with the composition of it. But then I had this bright idea of adding in these bubble textures or this bubble overlay, and I think that really helped differentiate this poster from the one that kind of inspired me to make it. Now this poster was directly inspired by the second one that I showed you in this video. I just really liked the look of it and how it made me feel, and so I just kind of wanted to try to replicate that in a similar way. Like I said before, a big part of it was that texture that kind of made it kind of feel like it was glowing and kind of gave it that grungy kind of look, and I couldn't remember how to make it, so I kind of had to stumble through recreating it and checking back on my old file. But this is kind of where I solidified how I did it, so I could actually just repeat it whenever I wanted to, which in my more recent work, you'll definitely see a lot popping up. The composition of this isn't anything too crazy, but I do like it. It might not be the most dynamic, but I do think it's strong and striking. Now this was another one that I didn't post. This was another time when I was kind of struggling with ideas and trying to figure out what I wanted to create, and I ended up coming up with this. I like that the top of the poster is open and it's not kind of confined by anything like I might typically do. So it has a very cool open feeling to it that you normally wouldn't see from something that I make. But honestly, I really struggled with this poster and I didn't think it was that strong, so I didn't post it. Now this is another one of my favorites that I posted this month. I really like the movement of it. I think the sky and the orange just kind of contrast really well. I think the photo of the statue is really cool. So it's just one of those things where everything is just working together, and I just think it's a really cool poster that came together really well. Now this is one that I actually kind of intended for my last video on video collages, which if you're interested in seeing a video version of this, you can check out that video too. Honestly, I really like the composition of it. It's different from what I normally do because I kind of had to put everything together in a certain way. So the composition is a little bit more complicated than what I normally do, but I think that's what makes it cool and different. Now this poster kind of marks a direction change for me. I guess I wasn't really intending to, but I just started making these posters that were more grungy and experimental, which I think is mainly what I was trying to do in the first place, but I guess I just got sidetracked and started putting myself in a box. So once I kind of let that go and started just kind of doing whatever I wanted to, I started making stuff like this. I knew I wanted to mess around with text, so that's where I started. And then once I had the face in there, I was like, it still needs something else. And what I actually ended up doing was using a displacement map on the head, and it just made it look like it was like exploding, or it just had like all these like fractals. And that's really what was the base for everything else that I put into the poster. Really, it was just about kind of grunging it up and making it look dirty and crazy and chaotic. Now I did a similar thing with this one where I took the 400, I put the photo inside of it, I did the gradient map that I had been messing around with, and then I added a displacement map on top of all that just to make it really chaotic. And then from there, I just started kind of adding different bits and bobs and just kind of throwing something at it, seeing what happens and just experimenting, having fun, and just kind of seeing what I could come up with. I wouldn't say this is my greatest poster, but I do really like how it came out, and really, it was just fun to make. Now this was another poster that I didn't post. Honestly, I just didn't think it was that strong. It's okay, it's fine. It just didn't strike me as something that anyone would really be that interested in, so I left it on the cutting room floor. But now you get to see it. Now this is the last one for this month, and I had a lot of fun making this. I had this idea of like this distorted shape kind of like shooting out of the lens or something like that, and that's kind of what led me to what you see right now. I just kind of played around with a bunch of different elements, and then eventually I wanted to play around with type, and that's kind of how I got this word capture, and I just kind of started twisting it, turning it, changing the sizes, changing the weights, and it really has this kind of chaotic natural feel that I really haven't done before, but I really like how it looks. Probably not my favorite from this month, but I do really like it, and I do think it's a really cool poster. And with that, that's all the posters that I either posted or was supposed to post this month. Let me know which one was your favorite, and also let me know if you see something in any of the posters that you would want me to cover in a video. If you see a certain technique, thought process, or effect that you think is cool that I haven't covered on this channel already, let me know so I know that I should do a video on it. But if you found this video entertaining or helpful at all, I'd appreciate it if you would check out the rest of my channel and then consider subscribing. I hope to see you in the next video.